Well, we got John Solomon calling in right now, justinnews.com, and he has the hottest news in Washington. John, what the heck is going on?
Well, there's a lot going on. You can tell the world is changing. All those migrants that were being bused from Texas to New York, guess what? They're going to get a reroute now under the Trump presidency. They're going to go directly to ICE detention centers, which will continue the exodus of people from Texas, but this time make it easier for illegal aliens to be deported quicker, not have to burrow into some of these sanctuary cities. So Governor Abbott making that clear in Texas the last 24 hours. That's big news. And then
that's effective immediately. They're not waiting to January 20th, and because Senator D'Amato was on before, and he's worried. He says, why are we waiting 60 days?
That's right. Governor Abbott's not going to waste any time. He's going to get things started right away. So we're coordinating with ICE right now to find the first early detention centers. And that process will accelerate, obviously, when President Trump becomes president on the 20th. But you're right. It is starting right now.
That is wonderful. Tell us what else is going on.
Well, we remember about a decade ago, George Soros began his efforts to get prosecutors positioned in all of these blue cities around the country. But as time has worn on and these cities have lived under the rule of these prosecutors who often let felons out to commit more crimes and other scandals, the Soros prosecution experiment has been going in reverse. And we got a great story this morning. The very first Soros prosecutor to be picked was a woman named Kimberly Gardner. She was elected in 2016 in St. Louis. She had a rough road. She indicted.
Is that the one that put the guy that was protecting his property in jail?
Well, that's right.
I don't forget.
You got a great memory. She also took down the Republican governor of Missouri, who was a rising star, a Navy SEAL named Eric Greitens. It turns out the accusations she made against him, she had no evidence to back it up. She had to dismiss the case. She got into a ball of trouble, but most recently, the Missouri Supreme Court reprimanded her for violating her ethics more than 6 times. But just before the holidays, just before the Thanksgiving holiday, she admitted in federal court in a document that she stole public funds, that she misused public funds to pay some of the penalties from her earlier misdeeds in the Eric Greitens case. So a prosecutor went from pursuing criminals to being accused of being one herself. Sort of the stormy end to that Soros prosecutor, but all across the country. Soros prosecutors are getting ousted from offices. They're getting reined in. The Soros prosecution experiment definitely on the ropes right now.
Wow. Anything else?
We've got some other really fun stories to keep an eye on. Doge. We know that Elon Musk is going to working with Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress and other players, going to shrink the size of government. But guess what it's doing? It's creating a wannabe effect in the states. Several states are now putting together Doge-like offices so that they can start cutting spending in their own states. So Elon Musk has started a trend, not just for the federal government, but across governments in the states. That's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how we cut government spending across the board. Elon Musk has started a trend, and I think it's starting to accelerate.
Got it. Iran, are they surrendering yet?
They're certainly playing a lot nicer. There are reports in the last 24 hours that they decided not to launch any more attacks against Israel because Donald Trump won the presidency. And I think you've seen in the last week the effect of the election, even before Donald Trump takes office. Mexico stops a caravan coming towards the border, and Canada's Justin Trudeau starts to make nice with the president-elect after years of criticizing him. Iran made a very consequential decision, according to these reports, which is not to launch another counterattack on Israel because they don't want to wake Donald Trump's ire and start off the new administration on a bad foot. That's what we call soft power. When someone has enough clarity of vision, enough clarity of their policy that our enemies don't want to mess with us because they know the consequence, that's the rise of soft power. It's something that Joe Biden had a real problem with during his 4 years. He had no red lines, he had no soft power, so he couldn't ward off a lot of our enemies. Donald Trump's not even in office already. He's starting to exercise soft power on the diplomatic front.
In other words, he's making a difference already.
He is.
Elon Musk spoke out yesterday, and he says he's going to slash the IRS budget.
I thought I heard a lot of people cheering around dinner time yesterday. You're right, yes. How many Americans don't really like the IRS? And remember, during the Biden years, they got tens of millions of more dollars and tens of thousands of new bodies allocated to pursue Americans. And there's a really odd trend line. When you take a look at where IRS enforcement has gone up. It's not gone up against wealthy individuals in America or big tax cheats. It's gone against small and sometimes poorer taxpayers who get the earned income tax credit and things like that. A complete misalignment of priorities, according to many of its critics in Congress. Elon Musk understands the politics of this. Shrinking the IRS will be a very popular thing in America, even on the Democratic side.
And I understand also that the New York leaders were under fire for the justice system.
Yes, well, we know, as we were talking about with the Soros prosecutors, that some of these local prosecutors, but at the state level, the ability of New York State prosecutors to carry out their job, to keep New Yorkers safe, had one of its roughest years. And there is growing evidence in the polling in New York and in other blue states that Americans are dissatisfied. The prosecutors are supposed to prosecute crimes, not create social engineering experiments that put public safety at risk. And in this good story we had on our site yesterday, significant backlash against the New York prosecutorial system after years of what we call, quote-unquote, judicial reform. It doesn't feel like judicial reform. It feels like criminal enhancement.
Now, Rumble is suing California.
That's right.
And tell us what's going on there.
A very important moment in the social media censorship wars. We know what happened at the beginning of the Biden administration until Elon Musk bought Twitter, renamed it X, and exposed some of the censorship. But in California, there are these new censorship laws that are going into effect. Rumble wants to challenge them right away and try to get a case all the way to the United States Supreme Court. There are all sorts of rules in California that really many conservatives, quite frankly, many libertarians and liberals think restrict free speech. California wants to control speech on the Internet. I think this will become one of the epic free speech cases of our lifetime. It's going to get to the Supreme Court. California wants to have control of speech. Rumble wants to be free speech. The 9 justices are probably going to settle this case, and it will probably be a generational case. It will probably set the parameters for where and when the government can get involved and when it needs to stay away from free speech. I would expect that to hit the Supreme Court either next summer or perhaps the next session. It may take a couple of years for that to wind through the court system.
And anything else? Is Musk making war yet on efficiency?
He is. He's already identified all sorts of projects that are wasting money, and he's crowdsourcing. He's asking Americans, hey, if you know of a program that's wasting money or underperforming, send it to me and Vivek Ramaswamy, and we'll get on it. The other thing that I think is going to be a powerful dynamic, and we had a really good interview with her, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a firebrand from Georgia, colorful all the time. She's going to use her subcommittee to sort of be the subcommittee of the flashlight. Everywhere there is waste, she's going to have a hearing, identify it, send the results of that hearing to Elon Musk so he can take it under advisement and shrink government. So you're going to see a hand and fist sort of approach to it with Congress working with the DOJ to make it quicker, faster, more efficient to cut wasteful programs. There will be no shortage of examples of wasteful government. She identified a bunch of them. The most interesting thing she said to me, John, she said that she's looking to end the government agency that has lots of media properties across the world, Voice of America among them. It's called the U.S. Agency for Global Media. She says there's no reason for the government to be in the journalism business. Let the private industry take care of that. It's an important role, but the government doesn't belong running journalism institutions. If that were to shut down, that alone would save $1 billion a year in spending.
Wow. Well, John Solomon, justthenews.com. Thank you for up to date. And any of our listeners wants to get the news right away, justthenews.com. John Solomon, we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, John. Great honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
Up next, Tom Homan, the border czar for Trump, may have his first job not at the border, but right in our backyard, and it started all here at WABC with Sid in the Morning and yours truly, Floyd Bennett Field, the federal park, where never before have people been housed, not even during the Depression. The federal government has said they are prepared to raid Floyd Bennett Field, and the city administration and the NGOs are trying to figure out a way to get them out of Floyd Bennett Field. Why not? Let's find out what's in those tents. What contraband, what bad hombres, what pedophiles, what sex assaulters, what individuals who have committed crime either in their country of origin or here in America. What are you afraid of? Leave everyone there and let ICE, Immigration and Naturalization Service, do their job.